number one thing on get rich or embarrass trying is it's all about mindset. Like wealth is a mindset thing. People think that wealth requires you to be intelligent. Nah, there's a lot of people who are intelligent, but they're not wealthy and they'll never be wealthy. Becoming wealthy has a lot to do with the way you think and your willingness to embrace risk. Because most people are fearful animals, and that's why they never get wealthy. You see, what they're fearful about are things that can't hurt them, right? They're fearful about what other people think. How funny is it to be scared of being embarrassed? To become wealthy, which generally happens through entrepreneurship, that means you're gonna have to do some things that won't work, right? So people are always saying, let's put some points on the board. Well, what I like to say is, let's put some losses on the board. You feel me? Because you gotta learn how to lose to learn how to win. There's no one who only wins. Everyone takes some losses. That's the road to success, is figuring out how to take those L's. You wanna talk about financial freedom? Well, freedom is a mindset. What do you wanna get free from? You wanna get free from caring about what other people think. And here's the ironic thing. Losers, they always have something to say. Winners, those are the ones who have respect for a hustler, respect for someone who's taking risks. Those are the people you want to be around. But whether someone's a person who's going to support you or not, doesn't really matter, because they don't pay your bills, do they? Here's the ironic thing about YouTube. You see, I don't do what I think is going to be popular. I do what I know you need, because all of my videos about women gets more views, right? The videos about wealth and entrepreneurship, they get less views. But here's the ironic thing. Guys are always complaining, saying, women only want a guy with money. Well, if that's the name of the game, don't get mad at the game. Learn how to thrive in the game, right? Learn how to get the money if you want the women and you believe that's what they actually want, which is not the case, right? Women actually want love. They want trust. But let's stick to this piece about get embarrassed. You shouldn't get rich or embarrassed trying. The reason I said get rich or embarrassed trying, because to be an entrepreneur, you have to innovate, generally speaking, right? And to innovate means you're doing something differently than other people have done it. I had a consultation that I gave to a gentleman in Mexico. He says that he wants to put chorizo on the market, a meat product. I said, okay, well, how are you gonna get this to the customer? How are you gonna do some customer testing? So we decided that in his apartment building, he was literally gonna go door to door and give out chorizo samples. Well, that can be embarrassing, walking around with a whole caseload of meat, giving it out. That can be embarrassing, right? You gotta have a lot of guts to knock on people's door like, hey, I got 2 pounds of meat. You want some, right? But he's willing to do that. And those are the kind of things that make people successful, because you're willing to do the things other people aren't willing to do, so you can have the things that they won't have. That's what life is about. When you realize that wealth is a game, it's a mindset in a game, and you learn how to play that game, you'll never be poor again. And here's the funny thing. People think that there's only a limited number of people who can be wealthy. Well, that's not true. There are entire neighborhoods of people who are wealthy. Why can't you be one of those people living in that big house? Huh? Tomorrow, we have something really cool going on, which tomorrow, we actually have an exclusive live session just for members. Exclusive live session, we're gonna go through the Dr. Phil method. How do you Dr. Phil a female, right? That's what we're going through tomorrow. And it's exclusive for members. Either you subscribe at patreon.com/the Saint and the Sinner spelled out, or you subscribe at www.thesasn.com. I posted on the community tab. One individual wrote, oh, Marquett, make it public, make it free. And some people below that who had common sense said, you know, pay what you owe. And then I thought, the individual who asked for this to be free, even though I have a lot of free content, that's not the kind of person I would associate with, because they have poverty mentality. They have poor person energy. You see, that's why I said wealth involves mindset.
if I was out in the public and I saw a guy like really stressed out over $16, I wouldn't want to associate with him because I know he doesn't have wealth in abundance. Birds of a feather flock together. So if you're trying to improve your feather and grow, you need to start being around people who are as you want to be. People who wouldn't worry about $16. Further, wealth is a mindset. You have to be willing to invest in yourself. You got to be willing to invest in general. So if someone is miserly or parsimonious, meaning unreasonably unwilling to spend, that's a person you need to be suspicious of because you know they're never going to rise up. You got to stay away from them. You know they're never going to rise up because they're scared to spend money. What you don't realize is that wealthy people invest money. They keep their money working because every dollar you send out can be a soldier working in your behalf. If your money is lazy, meaning it's just sitting in a savings account, sitting in a checking account, so your money is lazy. Me, I put my money to work. I might put it on the crypto market, on the stock market, different paper assets where my money is moving and growing. Because if your money is not growing, it's dying. Just like if you're not growing, you're dying.
Okay, there's a few more super chats. Muhammad Lionel, he sent a super chat. He said, does I want a guy that's well off equal gold digger?
No, absolutely not. Just like you want the most beautiful woman you can get, women want the man that's going to give them the greatest sense of security. So if the woman wants a man who's wealthy, that doesn't necessarily mean that she's a gold digger. That might mean that she just wants security. You see, she might want a wealthy guy, but she might not necessarily be trying to spend his money frivolously. So, I mean, let's be real here. If you could get a woman that got the nice body, the nice face, all those things, that's what you're going to go for, right? So same thing for them. They're going for the wealth. Females and males are different. Just like you want to go for the most attractive woman, they want to go for the most wealthy man. And they're going to go for the best option they can get. But here's the thing. Money is not the whole package for a woman. Women love animals, trust animals. If you can offer them that, that'll definitely substitute for money. Because the truth is, most guys are not wealthy, right? So you got to get in that game and play your best card. And that's why tomorrow with the Dr. Phil method, I'm going to teach you guys how to get in a woman's head, how to have influence with that woman, how to position yourself in the best way. Like some women just like ambition and hard work. They like the fact that you're doing something. Most people in the developed countries, they're bored. They like purpose. You don't have to be wealthy, but do you have purpose? Do you do anything of meaning? For example, most women, if you ask them about their man, they ain't got much to say because their man's not doing anything. What are you doing? Most women, to me, they say the same line. The line is, Marquett, quote, what don't you do? They say, what don't you do? Now, why would they say something like that? Well, because the big homie does it all. Oh yeah, I design men's clothing. Oh, I also design women's clothing. Yeah, I boxed. I'm a business guy. Love to travel. Poet, author, and the list goes on. Rapper, anything you name, I claim, right? And women like that. Keeps life exciting. What else we got?
That's it for now.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, finding is for the seekers, right? A lot of guys, they say they want to be wealthy, but you can tell they don't. They're lying. Most guys are tricks. They much rather pursue vagina than pursue money. Vagina is a short-term thing. Money is powerful in the long term. You get money, you're going to be set. You're going to have vagina anytime you want it. And that's why guys are unfocused, because they're thinking about what their animal nature requires, not what their rational nature requires. So when you want to talk about mindset, you want to talk about wealth, you're always talking about mindset. Wealth is in the mind. That's the only place it is. The reason that you know that is because people who don't develop their mind always lose their wealth. For example, if you win the lottery and you're a lower class person and we check in on you 5 years later, you won't have any money because it's a mindset thing. Your mindset is not grown. That's the problem. So when we're talking about, get rich or get embarrassed trying, a lot of guys don't even really believe that they can get wealthy. And a lot of that comes from upbringing. You were raised poor, so in the back of your mind, you think that you're gonna be poor forever. You don't really believe you can be the one to change things. But here's the thing, in America, probably in most developed countries as well, you can do whatever you want. But the question is, when you got your stimulus check, everyone got a freaking check from the government. What did you do with it? Did you invest your stimulus check in something that's gonna grow you? Something that's gonna allow you to think differently or be in a different position? Or did you spend your stimulus check on Christmas gifts? Did you spend your stimulus check on video games? Huh? How'd you spend your stimulus check? How'd you spend your time? Huh? That's the problem. When people talk to me, you can immediately tell that I'm conditioning myself for success. I'm not wasting any moments. Your good decisions accumulate to success. Your bad decisions accumulate to failure.
We just got a super chat from Frederick Mondragon. He said, peace to the saints. Okay, Blue Ink Tech just sent a super chat.
What do you say?
He didn't say anything. He just sent a super chat.
Tuition. That's what we call it. Yeah. You got to get obsessed with whatever you want, right? But people aren't obsessed. They want to take life easy. Here's the thing. I can look at someone and tell if they're a winner or a loser. No problem. Winners are intense. Winners don't give a shit what you think. When I'm running distances, 8 miles, 10 miles, and I got snot coming down my nose, I don't give a shit. I don't care what anybody thinks. Why? Because they're in their car with AC on while I'm running. I don't care what anybody thinks, because I got like 0 body fat, and they're sitting on their fat ass. You see, people who are successful, they only care about what they think. You see, and people who are successful, when they're watching someone else be successful, you got nothing but respect. If I see a guy running a long distance, covered in sweat, snot on his nose, I love it, because I've been there. I know what it's about to go hard at something. Losers, they want to sit back and watch and criticize. That's the difference between someone who's in the game and someone who's in the bleachers. Do you want to be in the bleachers in life, or do you want to be in the goddamn game? I'd rather be in the game losing than be a loser in the bleachers watching somebody else play the game. That's loser stuff.
Okay, we have a couple super chats. I'm not sure with this one. Okay.
Your big goal should be being happy every day. That's what my goal is transitioned to. Is like, how can I be happy every day? How can I do things that entertain me? How can I continue to have fun? So like, for example, this week, we're going back to Brazil. Why? Because it was fun. Why not? Your goal is to figure out what really lights you up and leverage your money to continue that going. You hear me talk a lot about money machines. Now I talk about money fountains. There are different levels to things, right? Like, for example, for me, I don't do this to get money. So that's why half the time I'm ready to stop talking and people are still sending super chats, which I appreciate. But I don't keep going because people are still sending super chats. I stop because I might be dehydrated, I might be hungry, I want to do something else. The reason I talk to you guys is because I want you to be in that strong position. I remember when I had a money machine, but a money machine, it's a machine, you got to add some electricity to it, which is to add your energy. You got to put in your energy to make it work. But it's good when you have a money machine, which is maybe a product or service you know people will buy if you can sell it. A money fountain is something that's kind of endless. It just keeps going, like a natural spring. That's what I have now, which is money's gonna flow in every day. Every day is payday. And once you get to that level, you don't really care about the money. You gotta find something else new that's exciting to you. To me, it's about being happy. I wanna be a model of the happiest guy you've ever met. But you guys may remember, I had a major challenge in the financial markets. Got set back really viciously lost a fortune, literally. And I wanted to share that with you guys because I wanted you to know the man that I am. After me experiencing that very desperate moment, see how I behave after that. See how I carry myself. Still happy, still confident. That's the measure of a man. You will surely lose your wealth at some point. But a real hustler is going to make it back when you understand the processes and realize that losing wealth or creating a business that fails, this is all a part of the learning process. But once you've learned the process, you can keep on doing it and getting good outcomes. The great thing about being a business guy versus, say, a boxer or a basketball player, you can only play basketball so long. You can only box so long. But a business guy can learn new businesses and keep creating because you're putting other people to work in your interests. So for example, Elon Musk, you may not know his first major company was PayPal. Then he went from that to building cars, then building spaceships. And he also has the Las Vegas, was it like the public transit system?
The Boring Company, yeah.
The Boring Company, right. So he's done all these different things and he can keep doing that because the mind doesn't quit. The body might quit on you at some point, but the mind's gonna keep going. And people who know me, they know I do a lot of stuff for free. Sometimes people tell me, Marquett, you gotta charge people. You can't keep doing this stuff for free. What I realize is two things. Number one, I like to be good to good people when I can, within reason. And then number two, if you're surrounded by people who are of your feather, honorable people, when you do something for free and they know they're getting a great value, they're going to compensate you for that. That's how honorable people are. If you're around low-class people, you do something for them for free, they're just gonna take it and keep trying to milk you. So that's why I encourage you to be around the right kind of people. People are a form of wealth. So when I talk about being wealthy, I'm not only talking about dollars, I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about happiness or different forms of capital. So you always wanna be thoughtful about those folks you got in your circle.
Okay, Anthony Flores in a super chat. He said, wow, I searched you up and watched your videos. You're the real deal and not some fraud giving advice. I will for sure become a member.
I appreciate that, Anthony. I really do. And you know, I wrote my book, but I'm more excited to read your books. I'm more excited to be a footnote in your books. Because I know the men who take my advice seriously, the women who take my advice seriously, they're going to win.
Okay, the Cash App was from Joe Jackson. He just said, what it said was, can you write a book about masculinity? And we're all caught up.
Good. Yeah, and it's funny to me too, like, cats talk crazy, like, Marquett, I want to spar you. You don't want that. I don't even want that. I don't like sparring people that I respect or that I know personally. I prefer to fight strangers, just me personally. Because as soon as the bell rings, I want to hurt you. Like, I don't want to shake hands. People, sometimes in MMA especially, when the fight's about to start, they walk up and they hit gloves and then they fight. I don't want to do any of that. Let's just get it in, you dig?
Okay, Joe Jackson, he sent another message. He said, masculine principles, the stuff you talk about in your videos.
Now, Joe, would it be better to create a course, like a class on that, or a book? We talking about an audio book or a paperback? Because I'm wondering what's going to reach people the most and what age demographic this needs to appeal to.
Okay, there's another super chat from, I'm going to say, Shanae Milano. He said, what's the best way to grow a YouTube channel?
Number one, I would think authenticity is a factor. Number two, in business in general, you want to be unique. You can't do the same thing that's already being done. For example, everyone wants to be a pickup artist, or everyone wants to be a life coach. Everyone wants to be a SoundCloud rapper. I just talked about what I know. Talked about the things that I know that very few other people know. So I'm originating things and I'm innovating. I think that'll help you. But generally speaking, would I recommend someone trying to be a content creator? No. Why? There's nearly no barrier to entry. Bridget could become a content creator tomorrow, right? There's not high skill. So I promote real products and services. I know that might not be what you wanted to hear, but you have to do things that are more difficult sometimes so that you can create a barrier to people competing with you. To start as a YouTuber now, well, there's a lot of competition. That's the reason my channel hasn't even grown as much as it should, because realistically, I have more education, more experience, more game, more quick wits, more eloquence than 99.9% of people on YouTube, but their channel's bigger because they started first. So you're coming late to the game. You want to ask yourself, what's next? What can I get on early? Like Clubhouse, for example, might blow up, but I don't think it's very easy to monetize this kind of a thing. And it's multiple people talking rather than the attention being directed on one person, right? So, but it's a new thing. So when you get on something new, like even TikTok, which is still not quite new now, you can get that rapid organic growth. So you need to think about what's new, not what's old. Appreciate that, SP. Yeah, liking the video is the basic that they can do, right?
Yep.
The basic thing they can do. We caught up on the super chats?
We are.
How many minutes are we in?
28.
Cool.
Teletubby said, damn, brother, man got some snap. Okay, Federico Monticelli sent a super chat. He said, we live in a world where people are weak. They want instant gratification. People give up because they expect instant results.
You're right about that. And everything worth having is worth fighting for. But so few people want to fight. The funny thing about that is people are scared of conflict. The gentleman earlier asked me about masculinity. Well, the masculine energy can be aggressive. The masculine is ready for conflict. The masculine is not fearless, but he is brave. You understand that paradox? You might have some fear, but you're still brave and ready to stand up. And being brave is the ability to stand up to your fear, stand up to other people, stand up to competition, stand up to people second guessing you. That's the key right there. But people want to be kumbaya. Yeah, well, guess what? Kumbaya don't get the job done. Nah, you're gonna have to fight, trust me. And if you ever get to the top without fighting, somebody who loves to fight is gonna take you down.
Okay, Miguel, the comedian, sent a super chat. He said, saw your video of you versus the feminist live from beginning to end. It was good.
All the videos I've done, all the game I've dropped, people, they love that one where there's the conflict, the aggression, the competition. That's what gets the attention. That's what gets you in the game, huh? You have to understand human nature. Everything you do is appealing to a market.
Okay.
What?
Zest D sent a super chat. He said, what do you do to motivate yourself to go for a run when it is cold outside?
What do?
You used to run in the snow.
Yeah.
SP just said Zest, he did an old video on this and he ran in the snow.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I think we did do a video.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta be going after something in life. That's why I talk about goals so much. Without goals, you are lost. Without goals, your day has no meaning. For example, you ever wake up one day, you go through the day, at the end of the day, someone might say, hey, what'd you do today? And you think about it and you scratch your head like, damn, what did I do today? Well, you did nothing. You wasted the day. You can't think of what you did because you really didn't do anything because you never had a plan. You didn't have purpose that day. Going for a run, that's great. But why? What do you need out of life? Why do you need that vitality? You see, I'm always goal-oriented. So I go for a run because I want to be in fighting shape because I don't want to get my ass kicked in the ring. I want to be triumphant. Or I go for a run because I look at my Instagram videos of exercise and I look at my body and I'm disgusted. Even though someone else might look at it and be impressed, I look at it and I'm disgusted because I know what I can be. And I know the clock is ticking against all of us. So you have to have different psychological tools to influence and manipulate yourself. I know how to drive myself. Like, I never want to see someone outdo me. I'm hyper competitive. So if I see David Goggins, I'm like, damn, I want to beat him. If David Goggins ever shows up to my area, I want to go for a run with him. I want to be able to hang in there. I'm always thinking like that. I look at peers who have excellence, and I ask myself, what would happen if Jay-Z showed up and wanted to rap with me? What would happen if David Goggins showed up and wanted to run with me? What would happen if Michael Phelps showed up and wanted to swim with me? I think of the people who are the best as my peer.
Okay, Teddy Grams 204 sent a super chat. He said, girl I got right now don't got much in the bottom department, but she's submissive, good cook, respectful, etc. Should I just pay to get that fatter or drop her and find a girl with something natural?
You might think you want the woman who's shaped like an hourglass and has the big butt and the big breasts. Well, all of that comes with a price. Everything in life has a price. The best woman for you is the best behaved woman, the most respectful woman, because a woman has to inhabit an identity of mother, of wife, of professional. When she can inhabit those three identities effectively, that's a great woman. You might want the woman who thrills you physically, but rarely is she good for you. So don't be an animal. And if you can arrange your life such that you have your main woman who thrills you mentally, because over a 50-year period of marriage or romance, it's gonna be mental. The woman who can thrill you physically, that's a temporary thing. As soon as you skeet, you're not gonna wanna even be around her. I know I don't. As soon as I skeet and it's a female that I'm not connected to through love, I'm like, look out, you're done, you served your purpose. Your main woman should never be a woman that's there because of her aesthetics. That's a very low level way to engage in life. And I can tell you, if you have an obedient woman who's a good woman, hold on to her. There's not a ton out there.
Okay, we have another super chat from King Jaffe. He said, my ex went through my phone and didn't find nothing, but when I asked to see her phone, she stormed out. So then I dumped her immediately. Was I wrong?
No. Number one, you were wrong for letting her go through your phone. Even if you have nothing to hide, you don't want to get to that level of pettiness and immaturity because it never stops.
He didn't say he let her. He said she went through it.
Got you. However the case was, that you weren't tight enough. You got to stay tightened up and focused. You heard me? Women are curious. And for the most part, they're not ruled by principle. So if you leave something out, she's going to probably take a look, unless she's been conditioned or has some great principles that she was raised with, which is unlikely. So number one, you got to stay focused just in life in general. Number two, you don't want to ask to go through her phone because then you look jealous. That's not player. That's the opposite of player. No one looks attractive while looking jealous at the same time. So that's like you basically showing your hand. You dig? You want to keep it smooth and player. Be confident. Being jealous is being insecure. So you should never do that. Further, whatever sick feelings were guiding her to look through your phone, why would you then behave as though you have the same sick feelings? That's you acting like a female, and the male and female are to never emulate one another. They are different beings. So you have to be a leader to her. If she checked your phone, you turn around and check her phone, you followed her. She tricked you.
Okay, we have a super chat from Ethan Staunton. He didn't say anything, just sent tuition.
Appreciate that, Ethan.
We have another super chat from T. Jack. He said, really enjoy videos, just bought the black box, excited to read. Gonna get a heavy bag for home workout. Any recommendations? Maybe you should get that Amazon boxing product recommendations list popping.
You know what? I'm a minimalist. I always recommend as few things as possible, number one. Number two, it's nice when you can go out in the world and exercise. Fresh air is great. Meeting people is better. Your people are your wealth, so it's great to go out into a gym if you can. A home gym is nice, but we're already too isolated, so I recommend that you get out if you can. I want to hit somebody with one of those in a fight, Bridget.
Okay.
You know, put the measuring stick on them and just stick them one quick when I feel like they're just gonna crumble. I just want to hit somebody with something vicious because I feel like I've not been throwing hard punches. I was just like, you know, flicking the jab out
Yeah.
quickly.
Johnny Blaze commented earlier, he said, your left hand is just as lethal as your dominant hand. An overwhelming majority of people's left hand is damn near powerless when squared up.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And he has a good eye. The advantage that I have is that though I fight traditional, I'm actually left-handed. So my left hand has more precision and strength than most people because I'm naturally left-handed. So that's a keen observation.
Okay, Kenneth Pollard sent a super chat. He said, how honest to be with your main chick?
Well, that depends on a lot of variables. 9 out of 9, most people can't handle the truth. So there's kind of 3 levels to honesty. There's being candid, just letting it all out. There's saying what is required, and then there is suppression, when you're either lying or you're hiding something. You really have to assess what kind of individual your main chick is and how much leverage you have with her. Ideally, you're gonna be happiest when you can be fully yourself, fully honest. I'm always talking about what the real is, how things have to operate in the real world, not in a perfect world. But the truth is, you know, you'd have to give me more details on what you're considering being honest about and how much time invested you have with that female. Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's a super chat, another one from Robert Jones. He said, can we equate developing masculinity with developing virtue?
You're mastering certain traits. For example, it is far more masculine to be of precise words and of few words, though the nature of the human being is to be expressive. Me personally, there are a lot of things I do not express because it doesn't pay or because I don't want to waste my breath, meaning that I'm wise enough and rational enough to know that my words will not be well received. To be able to stay in the clouds and look down on the situation strategically is very masculine. Conversely, on the feminine side, which is more in tune with the animal nature, meaning the hardwired nature, you're inclined to just express yourself. Say what's on your mind, whether it's relevant or not, whether people want to hear it or not. It's a lower level of being able to control yourself. Anytime the human being gets out of control and becomes emotional, you're certainly moving more so into the feminine energy, and it happens to all of us. But the question is, how often does it happen to you? As you become more of a man, you should be more in control of your emotions. I remember when I was a young man, my best friend's father, it's like he never said a peep. Every time I was at their house, he was like the quietest thing around. But when we would leave out of the house, me, my best friend, and him, he'd be more talkative. I noticed when he's at home around the wife, he doesn't say much. I think part of it because his wife was a little bit annoying, but he was wise enough to know that his words would not be valued, and therefore he just kept it solid and kept it silent. And you know, that really means a lot. But here's the thing about a real man. You have power in your silence. When you do open your mouth, your words have impact. So certainly, being a man has much virtue as there are few men. And when you are a real man, women and other men will attract to you.
Hey, we are caught up.
Good. Stop slapping the hook. I turn it over all the way. The hook is not my weapon of choice. The funny thing is that fight in Philly that I had, the dude the southpaw threw a body shot. It was a little bit low. I countered him like that. It was nice. It was just off of reflexes. But in the last fight, my coach was saying, hook off the jab. Pop, pop. So I gotta really practice that. It could be a nice one. Problem is that, you know, when you throw it out there, you don't want to bring it back. You want to keep it out there, bang. So it's all about the footwork.
We just got another super chat from Chanel Priester. Chanel said, paying tuition, truly appreciate the knowledge shared in your videos.
Thank you, Chanel.
Kenneth Pollard sent another super chat. He said, my main and side chick pay me and I want a team now.
Well, good. That's a beautiful thing. He just sharing the beauty of it.
Apparently.
I like that. I'm taking off these gloves. I can feel my skin is coming off.
Jomita.
I think I got it. How much time we in?
47 minutes.
Yeah. Saints, don't hit the heavy bag for 47 minutes. That's too much time. My skin's coming off my knuckles. I can feel it. Yeah, Saints. I mean, I would much rather you be in a position where a woman asks you, what don't you do? Because she knows that you're working hard, you're grinding, you're producing. There's really only producers and consumers in this world. A real man's always a producer. You see, I'd rather a chick say, what don't you do? Rather than, what do you do? Because you're known by your deeds. And if you're not known for taking action, for creating, then you're nobody. For example, in that debate with the feminists, it was really strange that she was saying, why should I have to cook and clean and work? Well, that's how you know she's lazy and unproductive, because in the modern era, cooking is a very short process and cleaning is a very short process. There's plenty of time to cook, clean, and work, especially if you're only working 8 hours, which is actually quite a short work day, in my opinion. So she's lazy, and she's used to being a consumer, not a producer, because producers love producing. They love creating. I know I do.
Okay. Rex Olympian sent a super chat. He didn't say anything, just paid tuition.
Appreciate that, Rex. And one thing I'm all about, and just think about all the people on the internet who say they're fit, or say they're strong, or they're in shape, or they're diet experts, or they're this or that. Ask yourself, do you really ever see that? Do you ever see them competing? Like even like David Goggins, who I admire David Goggins. But beyond running and pull-ups, he's done extraordinary things in running and pull-ups, but I want to see you throw hands, you feel me? Because running is an individual pursuit. It's not a true competition. Pull-ups is an individual pursuit. It's not a true competition. When you're running, you're not running against someone. So I always like to look at people in vicious competition when you're going head to head against someone. That's the true measure. Because you see, when you're running, you can control your breathing. You can control your pace. There are no unexpected things in running. In boxing, when they punch you and then you end up with a deviated septum and your nose is bleeding and you can't breathe out of your nose, oh, that's a surprise. Now things are getting interesting. You don't know what's gonna happen. You dig? So I like that, because that's when you really figure out what you're made of, when you have to fight injured. You dig? That is a whole different level of competition. So all these people, I feel like, yeah, they put themselves to a test, but is it the greatest test? And people who put themselves to the test, you know what you're made of. That's why you don't have to walk around this world in a fearful way. That's why, like me, I talk my shit, and I have no problem with what's going to come behind it. Because just like I can hit this heavy bag, any of these babblers on YouTube, if they show up in real life, I'm gonna do them just like I did this heavy bag. And it's going to be easier than it was on this heavy bag. You dig? That's the key. Preparation, mindset, putting yourself to the challenge. In my head, every time I run, I'm running against David Goggins. In my sick mind, every time I play basketball, I'm playing against Jordan.
Sure.
I didn't mean to have to take off my shirt, but it's so soaked in sweat. It's bad for my skin. I don't do sugars. I don't do energy drinks. I don't do sodas. I don't do fatty foods. I don't do fried chicken. If you can cut out those things, you'll be in good shape. If you can cut out candy, sweets, you'll be in good shape. But, oh, this is your phone, huh?
You don't do fast food really either.
Yeah, I do a lot of home-cooked meals, and that's why I always tell you guys, a good woman brings wealth into your life. All variety of wealth. The reason I can have a lot of home-cooked meals is because of Bridget, and I'm thankful, you dig?
Okay, you have a super chat from Evan Kraus. He didn't say anything, just sent tuition.
I appreciate that, Evan. Thank you, Say.
Cannon Mosley sent another super chat. He said, do you always use hand wraps when hitting the bag?
Yeah, you should. I always put hand wraps under my gloves because you're gonna get your skin rubbing off over time. Even with the hand wraps, I still got my skin rubbing off just because I'm hitting it hard for a long time. So always wrap up. And these are actually extra long wraps, so I have more padding. These are wraps that we actually produced ourselves. And that's another point of being a producer. As I say, who you are, it shows up in your works, you dig? Like, I don't tell you I'm a producer. You see me wearing and using the things I've produced. You gotta be the same way. Serious about the point of creation. You want your woman to view you as a God? Be like God. In the beginning of the Bible, it talks about what God produced, what God created, not what he consumed. To produce and to create is to contribute. Are you a contributor? Are you living like a man? Or are you living like a woman, always wanting to consume? For example, I mentioned the guy earlier who had asked me, Marquett, don't do that session tomorrow at 11 a.m. as a members only, do it public. He was asking to consume for free. Doesn't that sound like a woman? Isn't that what we complain about women doing, wanting to freeload? You see? So as a man, you gotta think like a man. He wasn't a very masculine individual. He was speaking as a woman or a child. Because women and child get free rides. Men do not. Men break bread. Men contribute.
What advice would you offer someone trying to be a content creator like yourself?
Well, I would say, number one, just as in business in general, you have to do things that other people are not doing because that's the only way your content is going to be viewed. There's tremendous competition, so your thumbnail is going to be very important, and your title. So your title has to be eye-catching, either because it's a little edgy, sexual, or vulgar. Your thumbnail has to have some sort of appeal, good-looking guy, good-looking woman, and something that's very beautiful or something that's very striking. And if you're doing something that everyone else is doing, no one cares. You have to figure out what's unique. For example, one guy I don't like at all is Tekashi6ix9ine, but you have to tip your hat to him because when he came out, he was a rapper with rainbow-colored hair. It really didn't exist, did it? So he was the first person to innovate. In business, anytime you do something, you want to innovate. When I created Fletch, effortless technology, we're the first company on the planet Earth to do effortless technology. That's why we were able to be successful. We got a head start on everyone. You should always look for that head start in content creation or anything else. I love pull-ups because it's a body weight exercise. True strength. A lot of these bodybuilders, they got all these big muscles. They can't do 10 pull-ups. Why? Because they're not strong. They're bulky. Strength is slim. You gotta be like a greyhound. You know, ripped, strong, fast. Because in the boxing game, they say speed kills. Yeah, you can be a strong puncher, but if someone's faster and they hit you before you hit them, you might go out. Speed kills.
Okay, Jabrizzy Magic just sent a super chat. He said, how do express with your main female in a diplomatic way? You need some alone time to think. So how do you express with your main female in a diplomatic way? You need some alone time to think.
Bridget, I'm definitely an introvert. I think you know I'm an introvert, right?
I know that, yes.
Yeah. Do you think I've been diplomatic in getting alone time or not diplomatic?
You've done what you needed to get alone time.
That's funny. Jabri, I think it depends on how much alone time, how far away you need to be from her, what the nature of it is, but generally speaking, human beings are influenced by stories. You know, you always have to sell a story. So for example, you just disappear on your female to get your alone time, you just disappear without a story, she's gonna be suspicious. Is he with another woman? Does he not like me? Is he hurt? Is he alive? But if you give her a story and you explain, hey, you know, I need time to think through fill in the blank, or I need time to focus on my business, or hey, I'm just really stressed, I don't want to take it out on you, so I need a little bit of time, or hey, I'm introverted and I've just been around too many people, too much sound, I need some silence. You know, as long as you give a thoughtful story and you tell her what you're going to do, you don't tell her, you're not asking her for permission, you're letting her know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to require at minimum this amount of time, maybe more, I need this amount of distance, maybe more, and this is not about you, it's about me, don't take it hard, and hopefully you'll be here when I get back. But whether you'll be here when I get back or not, I gotta take this time for me, and I know you want the best version of me. So I think that's the best way you can do it. Surely, she ain't gonna like it, but I think she'll accept it.
Okay, Miguel, the comedian, sent another super chat. No comment, just paying tuition.
Truly appreciate that. Miguel, bruh, I asked you, bruh, you gonna shoot us that stand-up comedy link or what? When you say comedian, what we talking about? Most men have never put themselves to a test. They've lived very comfortable lives. Poverty in America is very comfortable. Go check out poverty in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. It's brutal. Go check out poverty in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. It's brutal. Sometimes you have to put yourself through brutal things to make you stronger. We want a woman, but a woman doesn't want a woman unless she's a lesbian. Some of you have been living as women, letting your mom and daddy take care of you even though you're an adult. Asking mommy and daddy to provide for you when you should be providing for yourself. Living too comfortably. You gotta be hard, and you gotta go harder. So shout out to the saint for grinding, for delivering those packages in the snow, for going hard instead of going lazy. Shout out.
Okay, Jabrizzi sent another super chat. He said, you really helped me there because I was having a hard time figuring this one out.
I appreciate that, Jabri. And you know what, man? That time alone is priceless. You know, to get with yourself in silence, to be able to meditate or just hear your own thoughts without anyone babbling and getting in your head, that's necessary. And it probably will work in your favor because absence makes the heart grow fonder. So she'll probably want you even more once she experiences life without you for a little bit.
Okay, Adrian Gutierrez sent a super chat. He said, books/resources you'd recommend for a 21-year-old. The Black Box by Marquett von Burton.
You gotta read The Black Box, especially at your age, because it discusses my experiences leading up to your age and beyond your age. But the number one thing I would recommend for a 21-year-old is to start experimenting in creating products and services, doing low-risk things to get your feet wet. Because if you can start learning business processes today, 3 or 4 years, you can be a very wealthy young man. And to me, I was always asking myself, yeah, it's cool to be rich, but I want to be rich and young, you feel me? I want to pull up in the dope whip and people to look like, wow, how'd you get that? Is that your parents' car? Like, I always wanted that. And that comes from getting your experience early. If you're not in university, you might be advantaged because you get to start experimenting today with how to add value to a marketplace.
Like, I really want you guys to understand that nothing in life happens by accident. However few people are on this call right now, on this lecture, is because the title was about earning wealth. Imagine if the title was instead complaining about gold diggers. There'd be a ton of men on there. So we can complain and vent, which is feminine. There'd be a ton of men on there happy to drag women through the dirt for wanting a man with money. But now we're on the live stream on how to become a man with money, and everybody's absent. You see, that should teach you something. It's not that it's so hard to get wealthy, it's that they don't believe in themselves. They want to be losers. They want to stay in that position and have to complain about women skipping over them because they're broke. Instead of saying, okay, well, if women want a wealthy man and I want women, what's the key to success? Get wealthy. But the truth is, women don't want a wealthy man. Women want a confident man. They want a competent man. They want an ambitious man. They want a producer. But here's the magic. All those qualities lead to the man being wealthy. When the man has all those qualities, he's going to be wealthy.
The wealth is just a proxy for those qualities. Good long run, to me, that's like prayer. That is like prayer. When you get in the zone, when you're working out, there's nothing better than that to relax the mind and to de-stress you. Man, sometimes I get in the zone so much, that's why the skin comes off my knuckles. Because you just stop feeling it. It's like you get out of body, it's spiritual, you know? And physical fitness is such a major key to being masculine. I like that the saint earlier had asked me about being masculine. The ironic thing is when you're not in good physical condition, a man's body starts to look like a woman's body. The chest starts to sag. Your body starts to get soft like a woman's ass. So being masculine and exercising go hand in hand because men are built for war. Oh, looks like that skin came back off, Bridget.
Okay.
That's a shame. Yeah, and to the fighters, if you're gonna box, I recommend you get lace-up gloves so you can double tie it around the wrist. Always tie your gloves. I didn't tie my gloves one time, that's why my skin's coming off the knuckles, because it was the gloves sliding around on impact.
Okay, we have some more super chats.
Wealth is such a spiritual pursuit, and you really also have to keep it on your mind. It's so spiritual when your heart and mind are lit up with a dream, you will be unstoppable. So for example, there are a lot of things that I desire. Some things are material, but they represent something greater to me. And even before I have the money for it, I look at it, I study it, I figure out what I want. Like today, I just discovered a new antique car that I'm interested in. It's like a 1972 Mercedes 600. Beautiful antique car. And it's dope because even in the back seats, you can adjust the seats. You can recline the seat in the back seat. It's like a 1972, but it still has a refrigerator in the car. So you can have refrigerated drinks. And it has one of the biggest sunroofs ever made. Beautiful, unique car, very few units made. Uses hydraulic technology. So like the windows and the sunroof go really quickly, much faster than electric, even though it's such an old car. Quite fascinating. So I like to study these things because it makes it so clear in my mind that I can imagine sitting in there on that thick German leather, and I can imagine driving it with that smoothness. And when you have that level of spirituality associated with your pursuits, you're going to get it. You're going to win. And anything that detracts from that, I remove it out of my attention. I actually have a video called How to Be Consistent and Disciplined. It's at www.patreon.com/thesaintinthecenter or www.thesasn.com. If you just type in the search, how to be disciplined or how to be consistent or consistency and discipline, it'll pop right up. But long story short, the number one way to be consistent and disciplined is to have a clear goal that you really want. That's number one. And number two, to mark out time every single day, usually at the start of the day, aka when you wake up, just 30 minutes to work on this thing, whether it's exercise or working on a business, what have you. And then ask yourself, what motivates you as an individual? So me, for example, I know that I'm arrogant, right? So I don't like to fail at things and I don't like to underperform. So when I was in Medellin, Colombia, it's really easy for me to do pull-ups because there are pull-up bars outdoors. And I know if I'm doing pull-ups outdoors and there's other people watching, I'm gonna do as many as I possibly can because I'm arrogant. You see, so I'm using my own arrogance to fuel my performance. You have to think about what motivates you.
Okay, we have some more super chats and we need to start wrapping up. Okay. Sorry. Strict Dad sent a super chat. He said, of all the positive males preaching masculinity on YouTube, I find you to be the most intelligent and articulate, a true inspiration. Better parents, better children, better world. And he wrote Strict Dad. And I do remember Strict Dad sent a message earlier that we did not get to, asking about consultations. If you want to share where people can book consultation.
Sure. I shouldn't have took off my wraps and the bars hurt my hand. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that you see the quality of my works. That means a lot to me. If anyone wants consultations related to business, romance, their image, anything like that, I'm happy to talk to you. You can book that by going to www.thesassin.com. That's THESASN. And you can just click consultation and then book from there. If it's on your phone instead of the web browser, just click the menu in the upper left-hand corner once you click consultation. Or you can send through a contact us form and just say, hey, I want a consultation. And you can book one for an hour or an hour and a half. I'd be happy to talk to you. And if you don't need an hour or an hour and a half, just become an emperor, then you'll get a 40-minute consultation every month with your membership.
Okay, Dean sent a super chat. He said, do your workouts consist of weightlifting or just calisthenics or a mixture of both?
I don't do as much weightlifting as most people, but I do some weights, and it depends on what I'm training for. So involving glutes, I'll use weights to get a good glute isolation workouts. In terms of arms, shoulders, and upper body, I'll use weights for shadow boxing. I'll also use weights for bench pressing. I'll do 3 different types of bench presses. You want to do muscle confusion. So for each muscle, you kind of want to do 3 different versions or 3 different types of exercise that target that same muscle. Definitely curls are good for the bicep because it's very hard to work the bicep without weights. So I do some weights, but I think it's important to have the wholeness of cardio and weights in all of your exercise routines, or she'll never be truly strong.
Okay, Marcellus Jordan sent a super chat. He said, hey, Marquett, just here to show love. Also, I've been learning how to develop apps. Have you ever heard of React Native?
Yeah, it's a technology you can use to build iOS and Android at the same time.
Okay, Evan Kraus sent a super chat. He said, you are one of the most benevolent man on the planet, I think. Or you are the most, not one of the most.
I truly appreciate that. That means a lot to me. I hope to live up to that.
Okay, Swiffer Wetjet sent a super chat. He said, although the conference is getting moved, I'm still coming out there for business connections and knowledge. Thanks for all the wisdom and game.
Absolutely, and I look forward to meeting you. Definitely, give me a ring if you want to be out here. We'll make sure that we all get together because obviously that time is marked on my calendar. So it'll be a great opportunity for us to link up.
Okay, Jabrizzi sent another super. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, let me know. We'll make sure the timing is scheduled. What did Jabrizzi say?
He sent a super chat. He said, you're going to be the Steve Jobs of content for men and women for self-improvement, and Sassin is going to be Apple. I see it. Your messages are always on point, brother, I gotta say.
See, I want you guys to learn from how Jabri speaks and thinks. It's always big. He's thinking like a giant. It's always about what can be. He has belief. If you don't have belief, you got nothing. And remember, if you don't believe in you, no one else is going to believe in you. It's easy to believe in Marquett Devon Burton because Marquett Devon Burton believes in Marquett Devon Burton. Whatever you got to use to motivate yourself, narcissism, arrogance, use it. Selfishness, use it. Because if you don't believe, no one will believe. And I want you to really take notes on Jabri because he's highly successful. And it's not by accident. I surmise that it started a lot with motivation. It started a lot with imagination. And, one thing I observe about him is that he is hyper attuned to people. He's a deep listener, a true observer. And when you're a deep listener and true observer of people who are successful, you're going to soak up that characteristic. And I surmise that he's done that. So I want to encourage all of you, think like a giant, the way he is. Observe, listen, and learn from people who are winning. That's how you win. Success leaves clues.
Okay, we have a super chat from Teletubby123. He said, Sadate, and he said, I really want to be an Army Ranger and will still regardless, but would joining the military with this political climate be dumb?
No. Joining the military is an institution. The military will not be destroyed in one presidential term. I mean, when they started letting women in certain positions, that kind of degraded the quality of the military. But no, the military is an institution, especially in America. And if that's what you want to do, you have to do it. Remember, I scheduled a conference during a pandemic because that's what I wanted to do. The show must go on. Do not let circumstances derail you. Keep going.
Okay, we have a super chat from Superman. He said, just found your channel. It's good, but talk more about women, less about business and that other stuff you be talking about. Keep it up though. And then a couple people said stuff to him about you have videos about women. Someone said you're not that accomplished. And he responded, he said, women come first. He came from, I'm not gonna name the name, but came from another YouTuber. And he said, but he wants to learn from you.
So he asked me to talk more about women and less about business?
Yeah.
Well, I think that he's probably not on Patreon, because if you go on Patreon or assassin.com, the exclusive member content, that's where you get the heavy, detailed, highly practical information about women. For example, tomorrow at 11 a.m., there's a members only session, and it's called How to Dr. Phil. So when we say we Dr. Phil a chick, that means get in her head. So this first episode of that series is going to be about conversation. How do you engage in the conversation? How do you structure it? How do you make her feel comfortable, not like she's being interrogated? How do you get her to spill her guts? And we're literally going through the list of questions and how to ask the questions, how to get the follow-up questions, what to say if she reacts in a certain way. So that's the highly practical stuff that we have going on. And a lot of that stuff is for the members only. So if that's the stuff that you like, that might be a good move for you.
Okay, Klepto sent a super chat. He said, how do you process emotional trauma?
I think Klepto was on the live session earlier. He had some very, very thoughtful questions. How do you process emotional trauma? Well, that's a big question. And when he said you, somebody's talking to me. But what I surmise is he's asking me how he can process emotional trauma. And I don't think he actually means process. I think he means get over the emotional trauma. Number one, if it's already occurred, it's in the past. There's no need to relive it and replay it. Number two, you have to ask yourself, are the things that caused the trauma still a threat today? If they are still a threat today, you need to do something about it and address it. If it's not a threat today, then you have to be real with yourself and say, what has transpired in the past does not exist in the present. It would not be very mentally well of me to behave as though those things that don't exist do exist. And let me give you a challenge, Klepto. This is my challenge. Whatever that trauma was in the past and you're reliving it, you've had joy in the past, right? Are you reliving your joy at the same level? No. You're not replaying your joy from the past as much as you're replaying your pain. Why is that? You see, the undeveloped human brain, it's a fear machine. It's a pain machine. It uses fear and pain to protect you. But the higher self, the rational mind, should be in control. So just the way you're replaying your pain, you should say, well, why am I not replaying my happiness? That's because you're not in control of your mind. You got to get in control of this thing right here and make it do what you want it to do. So that's what I would recommend you. Just like Jabri is going to take some time out for himself, you need to do the same thing to yourself. And instead of being focused on what happened in the past, you need to be focused on what's going to happen in the future. And that's related to your goals. Get dialed into the goals you have. Do you want to build a beautiful family? Do you want a lovely wife? Do you want great wealth? Do you want a beautiful car? Those are the places you should focus your energy, because where focus goes, energy flows.
Jarrett Butler just sent a cash app. He said for tonight's live stream.
Thank you, Jared.
We have Andrew saying, I missed a super chat, but I have not missed it. I am reading straight down. They go in order, and I have not gotten to yours yet. Thank you.
You said that was Jared Kramer?
Jarrett Kramer's in the cash app, but someone named Andrew claimed I missed his super chat, but I'm not to him yet. I have one more to read before his. Okay, Miguel, the comedian, sent a super chat. He said, hustling more, so I'm donating more. I have to wake up in the morning. Have a good night. I think he's probably already gone, but you can thank him.
Okay, thank you. Absolutely. Have a good night. Sleep is critical.
Okay, Andrew now sent a super chat. He said, how do you deal with tit for tat? Meaning if someone does something wrong to you, how do you reply without being petty or come off as toxic?
There's a difference between tit for tat, which is petty, and an enemy striking at you. Tit for tat, if someone jabs at you but it doesn't hurt you and you can get away from that person and remove them because they're petty, there's no need to strike back. Just step away and just let that relationship die. Conversely, if an enemy strikes at you and they have the ability to continue striking at you, or if they've caused you harm and you know that they are a real enemy, you must do everything you can to destroy them in whatever means are appropriate. So remember the difference. The first person is someone who is petty and they try to strike at you, but it's harmless. It doesn't harm you. Put them on limited association or no association. But if you have an enemy who strikes at you effectively, you must destroy them. You must do everything you can to devastate them, because when your enemies don't receive power against power, they will become emboldened and strike at you more with greater force. So you must always let your enemies know you will smash an ant with a sledgehammer. And when they know that about you, they won't play with you. Trust me on that one. I've been living like that my whole life.
By the way, do you think Kevin Samuels is speaking facts sometimes?
Absolutely. As they say, even a broken clock is right at least 2 times a day. And if I'm being honest with you, saints, I've not even watched an entire Kevin Samuels video. I've not even watched one whole video. And the ironic thing is that the women who side with me because of my critique of him, they may not have even watched the video. I'm critiquing his business acumen. I'm critiquing his femininity. But I'm not critiquing his perspective on lonely mothers. I'm not critiquing his criticism of low-life individuals. So in some places we may agree, but here's the important difference. He's doing YouTube to get paid. I'm doing YouTube to grow up strong men. I'm doing YouTube to repair the relations between male and female. I'm doing YouTube to build a global organization for the improvement of human life, so that you can all strive to be saintly. That's why I'm doing it. And I say that to say, though we might have a similar opinion on lonely mothers, here's the difference. He might be critical and destroy a woman who comes to him broken. He destroys her further and leaves her there in the gutter. I might have a stern word for that woman to bring her into the acknowledgement of reality. But in addition to that, I tell her, hey, love, join the Lady Saints. Come to the meeting of the Lady Saints where we can talk about self-worth. We can talk about rebuilding you. We can talk about your goals and how you can get there, how you can build a strong family with a great man who can help lead you and your child.